Grant's here in Washington, D.C., independent. Good morning.
Good morning. Yeah, I think it's interesting. The Heritage Foundation was in very early on the so-called free trade agreements, in particular the granddaddy of all bilaterals, which was the U.S.-Israel Free Trade Agreement in 1985. They joined up with AIPAC, the American Israel Public Affairs Committee, to ram that through. And contrary to what Jessica says, that's been one of the key failures of free trade agreements. Through 2018, it's produced a cumulative inflation-adjusted $182 billion trade deficit, the biggest trade deficit of any bilateral. And it's essentially built on providing open market access to the U.S., and it totally overrode Monsanto and labor unions and California growers to ram this thing through that no industry group really wanted. It was mainly the Israeli government and outfits like Heritage. So I really have to challenge Heritage as being a job creator. One of the things about that free trade agreement in particular is that in order to make it look at all balanced, the U.S. counts the re-export of diamonds coming into the U.S. market from Israel as exports. So it's kind of, if you look at this report that came out looking at the free trade agreements that Heritage loves so much, called U.S.-Israel Free Trade Agreement Damage Assessment at bilaterals.org, it really shows what a disaster the Heritage Foundation free trade agreements have been.
Got your point, Grant. Jessica Anderson on free trade agreements, or that one in particular.
So I think what's interesting about the free trade discussion versus fair trade is that President Trump actually upended a lot of the normal contours of this debate when he looked at trade deficits, when he sought to get better deals for the United States, even considering things as extreme at the time, many fanned as withdrawing from the WTO. And so, you know, the country right now today and how we handle trade is very much in an America first mindset. What puts the American worker, what puts the American family, the business, the job, the farmer first? And so I think the question for lawmakers today is less of, okay, how do we go backwards, and more, what do we do going forward? How do we have trade deals that lift the United States up and lift the American worker and our bottom line or our paychecks up? And so that's really what I'm interested in seeing. I think President Biden's going to have to make some decisions in the trade space. Of course, Congress will too, as they have the authorities to do so. And so that's what I'm interested in seeing, really, frankly, the next 4 to 6 years.
Awesome.